there are an awful lot of videos on YouTube now describing the Islamic problem in Europe and how treacherous things have become over Europe. And often the commentators are wondering about the government. Why does it seem like the journalists and the government are on the side of the Muslims? And it's often blamed on just plain generic political correctness. But I think that there's something else going on here, and it has to do with the governments of the world themselves, which are becoming increasingly one unit of elitists that control the World Bank, multinational corporations, and multinational bureaucracies, such as United Nations. There seems to me to be a plot in the workings that these nations have their journalists and their police forces taking the side of the Muslims. So this is not simply a matter of political correctness, but rather something evil, diabolical, and mischievous going on in the upper ranks of world global dominance by the elitist globalists. This includes and extends to United States as well, although it's not quite as pronounced in United States. Most of your citizens, most of your lower level politicians are still quite naive and thinking that there's a Muslim problem only, but not a world government problem that's behind the Muslim problem. Barack Obama obviously is one of these pro-Muslim type of leaders. American journalists are extremely pro-Muslim. The journalism in America is very much geared towards portraying people who see Islam as a problem for freedom, as being Islamophobic or evil or something to that effect, and trying to silence anybody who sees Islam as evil. I'm including somebody like Ayan Hirsi Ali, who is a refugee of Islamic persecution. Even she is ostracized by our American media. So we have a bigger problem here. The problem is not simply the Muslims. Muslims are just being exploited to do the dirty work for the globalists and the world leaders. So we need to start thinking about, how are we going to overcome the world leaders? Not how are we going to overcome Islam. Now, you have also the spiritual dynamic that we know the Western governments have turned their back on God. I know that a lot of the good anti-Islamic commentators out there on YouTube, many of them are atheists. And I think that one of the purposes for this video, I'd like to ask the atheists to lighten up and understand that Christians are really on your side in this event. You got all your freedoms from Christians. In America, Christians pay for the atheist school system. So I don't see why you're so angry at Christians. I don't think we need to be broad-brushed with the Muslims. You need to redirect your anger towards the globalist leaders that are exploiting the Muslims to come after you and me and the rest of the West. So one of the things I would like to see, for instance, we know there's problems in Israel that are concerning Israel involving Iran, that they think that they're in danger of an Iranian nuclear attack or something like that. I think that we should try to encourage the Israelis to take out the Western capitals. We can get Israel to bomb Washington, D.C., to bomb Oslo, to bomb all these headquarters for the globalist leaders, bomb London. We can let the Israelis, let's exploit the Israelis to do our dirty work and get rid of our capitals so that we can get back to the business of governing ourselves without this globalist, elitist control freaks sicking the Muslims on us. I think that this is, the reasonable, correct thing to do. Now, most people, I understand, most people do not understand me. They think I'm crazy, but that's because I'm so far ahead in my thinking. I'm thinking very clearly. Look, you got the enemy. We know the enemy is the globalists. We know they own our government. We know they they reside in Washington, D.C. You take out Washington, D.C. with a nuke it, and then we can get on. The rest of the states can go our merry way and govern ourselves. We don't need the globalist elitists that own Washington, D.C. And the same thing you could say for most of the Western nations that have capitals that are also owned by the World Bank and so forth. Let's do our own exploitation. Let's get the Israelis to... and here's how it would work. You would say, okay, well, look, Israel, you can't defend yourself because you know that the Western governments are going to take the side of Iran eventually in this whole thing. So you're going to have to defend yourself, and in order to do that, you're going to have to take out the West first. And we're just talking about the capitals, where the world globalist bankers and elitists live, and those kinds of people. You don't have to attack, obviously, you don't have to attack the regular American people. Most Westerners and American regular people like Israel. We see them as a freedom-loving nation. So they could do us a favor by taking out our capitals. That's the way I'm seeing it. I think that's the clearest, most meaningful, sensible, practical thing to do. And I understand most people don't think practically. They're too busy worrying about political correctness. Oh, you can't say that. What are people going to think? Who cares what people think? We want to get back to the business of governing ourselves without having the globalist elitists sick Islam on us. And then Israel can take out Iran, but I really think they should take out Mecca and Medina too. I have a video about America doing that, but as long as America is owned by globalist elitists, they're not going to do that. They're pro-Islam. So let's get things straight, people. Let's look at and know your enemy, and your enemy are the people that own your capital city. That's all there is to it.